I almost pulled the trigger on a 4K gaming monitor last year, and within a week I regretted it. The colors looked flat, motion stuttered when the frame rate dipped, and the backlight bleed made dark scenes look like a cloudy sky. I ended up returning it. So when I saw LG's 45-inch Ultragear with a 5K2K OLED panel, 165Hz per 330Hz dual mode, and GSYNC plus FreeSync Premium Pro, I knew I had to dig deeper. If you're shopping for a big screen gaming TV that can also handle fast console and PC action, this might be the smarter buy, but only if your setup and budget line up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The headline numbers sound wild: 5K 2K resolution on a 45-inch screen, 165Hz for everyday gaming and 330Hz for competitive shooters, plus a 0.03 milliseconds response time that promises zero ghosting. In practice, that translates to two very different experiences depending on which mode you're in. The 165Hz mode is silky for open-world RPGs and single-player titles where you want crisp detail and smooth scrolling. Switch to 330Hz and the motion clarity jumps perfect for Valorant or CS2 lobbies where every frame counts. The OLED panel's self-emissive pixels kill backlight bleed entirely, so night maps in Call of Duty actually look dark instead of grey. That alone fixes the biggest frustration I had with my last big screen purchase. Where this display earns its keep is in the HDR performance. The 5K 2K resolution gives you roughly 21.5 million pixels, which is more than enough to make text and UI elements razor-sharp even at a 3-foot viewing distance. If you're gaming on a console or PC that can push high frame rates in HDR, the combination of OLED blacks, wide color gamut, and VR keeps highlights from blooming and shadows from crushing. I ran Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K 120Hz with HDR on my RTX 4080, and the neon signs in Night City popped without smearing into the pavement. That level of clarity is rare on 45-inch 4K LCD TVs, which often soften fine details to avoid upscaling artifacts. The dual-mode switching is clever, but not seamless. You have to reboot the display to flip between 165Hz and 330Hz, which means you'll want to pick your primary mode and stick with it unless you're willing to power cycle the TV every time you switch genres. That's a minor hassle, but it's the kind of trade-off that separates enthusiast kit from living room gear. If you're buying this for one type of gaming, it's not a deal-breaker. If you're constantly toggling between single-player and competitive sessions, it can feel clunky. GSYNC and FreeSync Premium Pro do what they promise: no screen tearing, minimal stutter when the frame rate dips below the refresh ceiling. I ran a quick test in Forza Horizon 5 at 4K 120Hz and watched the frame counter hover right at 120 frames per second without any visible tears or hitches. That stability is worth the premium if you're chasing competitive consistency. On the flip side, OLED can introduce image retention if you leave static HUD elements on screen for hours. Think a scoreboard that never moves, or a pause menu that stays up too long. LG's pixel refresh and logo luminance features help, but it's still something to be mindful of if you're the type to marathon sessions. Who should buy this? If you want a single screen that can handle both cinematic single-player experiences and high refresh rate competitive play, this 45-inch Ultragear is one of the few options that doesn't force you to compromise on either end. It's ideal for gamers with RTX 40 series or RX 7000 cards who can push high frame rates at 4K, or for next-gen console owners who want a big, vivid display without motion blur. It's also a solid fit if you already own a smaller monitor and want a secondary living room screen that doubles as a gaming TV. Who should skip it? If you're mostly playing turn-based or slow-paced games, the 330Hz mode is overkill and the price tag won't feel justified. Budget-conscious buyers will wince at the cost, especially when 65-inch 4K QLED TVs with 144Hz panels are half the price. And if your gaming rig tops out at 1080p 60Hz, you won't see the benefit of the high refresh modes or the 5K2K resolution. This display is for enthusiasts who want the best visuals and smoothness in one package, not casual shoppers. The biggest hidden cost is the size itself. At 45 inches, it's large enough to feel immersive, but not so massive that it overwhelms a typical living room. Still, make sure you have the desk or stand space and the right viewing distance. Too close and you'll notice the curvature, too far, and the OLED's pixel density advantage shrinks. I set mine up about 3.5 feet away, and it feels just right for both gaming and movies. Bottom line, LG's 45-inch Ultragear OLED delivers where most big-screen gaming displays fall short. Clean blacks, sharp detail, and rock-solid VR without the